Well, that's incredible. I go live and then right on my phone, video. Somebody shut up. Well, the timing on that was a trip. All right. Peace to the gods. Peace to the gods. Yusef here. I appreciate everybody waiting patiently for me to come on. For those who did, I'm going to make it more than worth your time. The name of this broadcast today is 90% of the information in the patriot and sovereign community is flat out incorrect. But before we continue, let me get a sound check from the chat. Let me get a sound check coming out of the chat room real quick. Sound check. Sound check. Sound check. Mic check. Mic check. Mic check. Peace, peace, peace to the gods. Peace to the gods. Yusef here. All right, everything sounds good. Okay. All right, cool. Because we need to make sure that this broadcast is crystal clear. Now, what is the reason that I came on, and where have I been is probably what you're going to be asking. I have been doing a deep dive in research, and I have raised my head to declare to the world that I am changing my position in a lot of the things that I had previously believed and was unable to substantiate. All the things I was able to substantiate, I am not changing my position on that. But there are a couple of things I'm changing my position. And the Moors are going to be pleasantly surprised on a couple of them. But I've changed my position on some things. Why is that? Now, let me tell you how I reached the conclusion. So I'm going to preference everything I'm going to say by basically going in and what have I been engaging in? Oh, and let me say this today. Y'all got to donate today. I've been researching this for 72 hours straight. I ain't giving away shit for free. And if I don't see any, and you can cry and say whatever you want, or you can come to the seminar. Because I don't get no donation. I'll just do a seminar and give it because it's that valuable. And I did a lot. I've been up 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. Y'all just want somebody to just hand y'all some shit. And then that's another reason you charge for information, because you protect the information. And especially in this space, look at what people are going into the courtroom doing. I was just on a consultation today. And, I was just trying to tell the individual, I'm saying, look, do you understand why you're doing an administrative process? And they was like, no, I just want to know the paperwork. They just, all you are concerned with paperwork, and you're not concerned with courtroom procedure, the meaning of words. It's just a lot of things other than paperwork that you got to get a hold of if you want to get some sort of remedy doing all this. I appreciate the donations. Pauline, Philippi, 3419, MLLW Breeze, the 10 Bones. I appreciate that. Who else? Somebody else? Okay, yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Because, a lot of them, they just want some free shit. And then they wonder why they don't get anything, because they don't give anything. In order to get, you got to give. That's how the universe works. Thank you for the live. You're welcome. Appreciate the $10. Shannon Burgess. You're a long-time listener. I appreciate you. If you wouldn't have gave me no money, that's okay. I've been seeing your name for years. Come up. I ain't asking nothing of you. All right. But let me just say this. Okay, what did I do? What was the deep dive I did? Okay, I'm going to preference everything and I'm going to say. Okay, I came into this like many of you. I appreciate the 5 bones. What was that? What is that? Mechanic on Wheels. Mechanic on Wheels, 8941. I appreciate that, dog. Thank you. I came into this like many of you did. And when I came in, I didn't know anything. I didn't know a definition of a single word. I didn't know one single principle. I didn't know one civil procedure, one criminal procedure. I didn't know anything. If something happened to me, I did exactly what anybody else does. I got some money together and got an attorney. All right. That's where I began in all of this, like many of you. And like many of you, what caused me to get involved in the information is because I encountered some sort of exigent circumstance. Namely, I got arrested. All right. Some of you, somebody, it might be a house. Somebody, it might be their child. Somebody, just everybody comes through the door for a different reason. But we all have a reason, and it's because we've had some sort of encounter with the public that's creating some sort of problem for us that we want to look for some sort of remedy for. All right, so I came in it just like you. All right, so when I first heard this information was the very first time I heard anything about this was in 1998. Back then, I had just caught a federal case, and a lot of people were coming, well, not a lot, but a couple of my homeboy. My first person was my homeboy. He came to me and said, hey, man, there's something about the flags in the courtroom. They some admiralty flags. And I didn't really, I'm like, what, the flag? I was just like, what, nigga? The flags? The flag in the courtroom. Yeah, it got a gold fringe on it. You don't hear anybody say that today no more. That's an admiralty flag in the courtroom. It has the gold fringe on it. That represents the admiralty jurisdiction or the law of the flag. Law of the flag is actually a real legal term. And it is where ships put flags on their boats to tell you what country they represent. It's an admiralty thing, law of the flag. All right, so you can look it up in the dictionary right now if you want to. All right, so, I'm studying all this and I'm listening to a large amount of white patriots. Because white people just ran this shit when I first came in. Wasn't too many black people that were involved in this besides the Moors, but the Moors, they were doing their Moorish nationality. Some of them were doing secured party. The white people were hit hard on this. You don't have jurisdiction over me. That's a corporation, and I'm a real living soul, and right to travel. That was prime. They wasn't too hard on the discharge of debt. All right. Discharge of debt is mostly a broke person's thing. It mostly is a broke person's thing. People who ain't got any money, and I'm not saying that to talk about you. I'm just saying that people got money, they're not thinking about discharging debt. It's not. If you got $1 million a day, are you worried about discharging debt? I mean, fuck no. You're not worried about discharging debt. Like, nigga, what are you talking about? I make $1 million a day. I'm not worried about discharging the debt. I can have anything I want, buy anything I want, go wherever I want, do what I want, when I want, how I want, where I want, whenever I want. Why would I be thinking about discharging debt? So discharging debt is another area where people come in because they got some sort of exigent circumstance. Now, it is a lot of people regularly, they just lazy, shiftless, greedy motherfuckers that are looking to get something for nothing. All right, that's the majority today. It wasn't the majority back then, but the majority today, that's why I don't have any type of, like a motherfucker come into my, oh, and by the way, put your children up because there's going to be a lot of foul language spoken. I'm completely free. I don't have any restraints on today. I'm going in. All right, on some shit. I'm going all the way in. All right. I appreciate the 10 bones, Gaines Gerald, and also where's the question 521 to 10 bones. I appreciate y'all, man. I appreciate y'all. All right, so and when I came in, like many of you, they're telling us I'm the real living soul. That is a legal fiction. I'm not that person. All right, everybody was making I'm not that person arguments at first. That's not me on that all caps name. All right, that's one. Next thing I got a right to travel. Now let me talk about right to travel. Right to travel didn't have shit to do with secure party. Right to travel, they kind of bogarted their way into the secure party arena because that was a whole separate movement. Back in the day when all this started, it was different movements. Right to travel, they was a group of niggas like flat earthers, you know what I'm saying? Okay, there go them right to travel motherfuckers over there. You had secure party people over here. You had the Moorish nationality people over here. And then you had the patriot community over here. That was kind of like the major groups back in the day. And then you had a lot of fringe individuals who, they weren't really a part of anything. They were just trying to find their way. Like, we had Tim Turner. He came in with the Restore America program where he sent letters to all 50 governors telling that they need to vacate their offices because they vacated the office, basically. Offices have been vacated because what? They're operating in a de facto government, that a corporate government. They have effectively left the republic, and that is a void seat left to be filled by individuals from the republic. This is what you were told, right? This is Isaiah Martin. You've helped me majorly with my case. Has been following you for 3 years. My case is almost over. I appreciate you. I appreciate you too. And I like that because I'm not the kind of person that posts testimonials. I don't post testimonials. I don't have to. I don't post testimonials, motherfucker, because I know I'm telling the motherfucking truth. I know when I tell you to go in that court, you're going to experience every motherfucking thing I told you that's going to happen. Because people come back to me every day and say, God damn, you was right. All right. So I don't have to post testimonials. They'll do it in the damn chat. But today we're gonna go deeper. We're gonna go deeper. But the first thing we have to do is we have to cleanse our mind of all that garbage we've been told. The garbage that we've been told is a result. You got to understand, the posse comitatus, all right, they were the group that a lot of this was attributed to, that it started off. I don't think it was the posse comitatus. And they called them a white supremacist group. Now, what was really interesting is I have video footage of the posse comitatus appearing before Congress, and there's black members in it. So that was a lie, that they were a white supremacist group. They got labeled a white supremacist group by the that Jewish organization over there. And I had to come out and find out they're a communist organization. So they're going to attack anybody that uses the word sovereign, because sovereignty in the republic is an exact enemy of everything the Democratic Party represents or anything a liberal represents. So they're going to come out and label you and talk about you, demonize you, disparage you, saying that's some bullshit and all that right there. All right. So that was these Jewish liberal socialist groups that kind of coined or kind of labeled the posse comitatus as some sort of white supremacist organization. But when you really study what they were talking about, it was really the birth of trying to get an understanding of this jurisdictional element. Who was the United States really? What authority they really have? What's up with these legal fictions? Do I got a right to try? All these things, you know what I'm saying? So you had the Montana Freeman, all these individuals. Now, why am I bringing these people up? I want you to think about it. Who are we talking about? Posse comitatus and Montana Freeman. Now, this is no reflection on their intelligence, because a lot of guys in those groups were very intelligent. I'm not trying to say that they weren't intelligent. However, we're talking about ranchers, air conditioning mechanics, roof repair guys, delivery driver men. This is the pool of individuals that all this information originated from. People who had no formal education in law or anything like that. A lot of it was coming from individuals in prison too, because they were the ones that could study, that, had the time to study. So a lot of information, and it was coming from the West Coast up in Washington State and California. Y'all probably don't know, I'm giving y'all a history lesson right now. A lot of this information is started in Washington State and California. Those were the original patriot communities, posse combat, Montana, all that shit started up there with those guys, all right, these white guys. Now, I'm saying this to say, I'm not trying to say they stupid, but they weren't educated in law. And they didn't do deep dives or anything. And now that I'm educated and I go back and listen to a lot of them, they had a very rudimentary understanding of what is going on. I remember 9 to the 9th power of 9. I appreciate that. King Cosmic. Peace. It's reading and comprehension. It is. King Cosmic. Peace, bro. I appreciate you. It started with these guys had no formal education in law. And it's usually the same principle of the woman with the bread. Remember, there was this woman. And every time she began to break her bed, she baked bread from scratch, and she'd have the dough. And then when she'd knead the dough, and she'd cut off the ends of the bread and put it in the pan. So everybody would ask her, it's kind of watching her. That was kind of a curious thing. I said, well, why would you cut the ends of the dough off the bread before you put it in the pan? What's the purpose of that? And she said, I don't know. That's what my mother used to do. And I said, okay, I went to the mother. I said, your daughter, when she kneads her dough and cooks her, I love it, she cooks her bread from scratch. However, she has this curious habit of cutting off the ends of the bread before she bakes it. And she said she got that from you. Why did you do it? I don't know. That's what my mother used to do. And then we go to the grandmother and we ask her the same question. And she says, I don't know. That's what my mother used to do. And we go to the great grandmother who's 90 years old, asking her, why did, when you cook bread from scratch and you knead the dough, do you summarily cut off the ends of the dough before you put it in the pan? And she said, because my pan was too little. This is what is going on in the patriot community. I can say that because I have a Facebook group of 37,000 members. They post different shit in there every day. I think I got a good grasp of what is going on in the patriot community. And that is what's going on in the patriot community. They told you that you're a real living soul and that's a legal fiction and that's not you. You regurgitated it. They told you that you ain't got jurisdiction over me. You wasn't really able to substantiate that. You didn't look at minimum contacts. You didn't look at suretyship. You didn't look at any of those things. You didn't look at what the principle of novation is. You ain't studied none of that shit. You just went with regurgitation. The shit sounded good. Here's another thing. You went with the government is bad, we good. Government bad, we good. Government evil, we good. Government evil, we good. So everything the government does is evil. Now, I'm going to tell you what I started to notice. I started to feel like we getting infiltrated by communists and Marxists and socialists. And let me tell you, if you infiltrated, you're not intelligent enough to deceive me. You're not intelligent enough to deceive me. You need to go get your boss. Tell him stop sending these peons with this stupidity into my group. And would you stop? And let me tell you, they come in groups. They come with the individual that makes the comment, and then they come with a large group of people that are going to like the comment. It's not just one person. You got to understand how this shit works. They come in groups to influence you. And a lot of you are influenced because you don't think for your goddamn self. You want to be a sovereign, but you can't think for your motherfucking self. You won't look up a goddamn word. You say cesticate trust like it's a motherfucking trust and it's these goddamn beneficiary. You keep talking about authenticating the goddamn birth certificate like it's a certificate of title, and I didn't put out a million videos showing you where that shit is bullshit, and you ain't researched one motherfucking thing. You regurgitate. You blind following motherfucker. You a slave. I'm telling this lady today, she get a consultation from me. I said, do you know why I said, what is the purpose of doing an administrative process? She said, this is what they do to me too, because they already know how I am. Yusef, I read everything. When you tell me you read everything, you finna get tested. That's the wrong shit to say to me. The wrong shit to say to me, man. I've been following you and I've been reading everything you said. That's the wrong shit to say to me, bruh. That's the wrong shit, because I'm finna take you down. I'm finna ask you about 100 questions. And if you can't rattle them off the top of your head, you ain't studied a motherfucking thing as far as I'm concerned, because it ain't lodged in your subconscious. It ain't a part of your being. So what the fuck that you motherfucking did some sort of cursory examination of the paperwork, bitch? You sitting there want somebody to give you a remedy? You talking about a remedy? You don't even know what a remedy is. 90% of these niggas using the word remedy don't know what the fuck remedy means. They use colloquialism. Yusef ain't got remedy. Bitch ass nigga, who you hear talk like that in court? Do you got remedy? This is a science. There's no room for slang, street talk, improper grammar, none of that shit. It's precision. I was watching a movie one time. Best thing I ever heard. It was a married couple. The father, the man was a doctor, he was a surgeon, and the wife was an attorney. And the husband was kind of coming at the wife like his profession was better than hers. And he was saying, look, my profession requires precision. And she fired back. She said, my profession required just as much precision as yours. And she told the motherfucking truth. I heard that 10 years ago, and I realized that back then. Some of you motherfuckers ain't got the message, bitch. You got to be precise, nigga. Grammar matters. If you a bitch-ass nigga out there thinking that a capital letter and a small letter don't mean anything in law, you need to get your fucking shit and get the fuck out of this space. This motherfucker coming at me talking about I don't know what I'm talking about, and bitch, you don't even capitalize a word at the beginning of a sentence. How the fuck am I going to take you seriously? And we talking about law. Y'all making a mockery of this shit. Look at YouTube. Niggas coming in court reading shit on paper. Nigga, if you reading on paper, you don't know it. Get an attorney, bitch. Because all you doing is contributing to this sovereign citizen case law that's a mountain high right now. And they are right. They are not wrong. You're wrong, motherfucker. And that's what you need to accept. You think it gives me pleasure saying this? Let me tell you, I'm not changing everything. You can still discharge debt. There's still a public and a private. They bankrupt. That you can prove that. They bankrupt. But you're not framing the argument right in court. You're doing off-point arguments that don't have anything to do with anything. You need to be framing that. You need to be able to show an injury. You need to be able to demonstrate on the record how the removal of the gold injured you. If you can't articulate that in court, then you don't have no business trying to discharge debt, because court is about injury. Where is the injury? How are you injured? If you can't articulate your injury, the courts don't have that. See, you go into court with the wrong eye. That's another thing. People go into court. Let me tell you something, and I have to say this. That phrase, a person who represents himself as a fool for a client, that's a true statement. That's a true motherfucking statement. Are the courts administrative courts? Yes, they are. I'm not changing that. Yes, they are. Is this corporate? Yes, it is. It's corporate. I want you to think about something. Go to your city. If you're in a major city, if you're in Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, Austin, Los Angeles, San Diego, New York, Chicago, Miami, Atlanta, Philadelphia. If you're in one of those major cities, I want you to go outside. This is what I want you to do. I want you to go downtown. Go downtown. Next time you're downtown, go downtown. I want you to do this for me. I want you to sit on a bench somewhere downtown. Just sit. And I want you to look around. And I want you to tell me what you see. And tell me, do you see anything that's not a business? I want you to go downtown. I appreciate the $1.99. I want you to go downtown. I want you to sit on a bench. I want you to get rid of all this goddamn programming that they got in your fucking mind that you ain't got jurisdiction. You ain't got jurisdiction over me is the biggest impediment to your processes than anything else that's going on out there. You don't have jurisdiction over me. The reason why, because it denies your involvement of how jurisdiction is always obtained by actions you do. not the government. Jurisdiction is obtained because you took on a benefit or a privilege, and you don't know what benefits and privileges are. That's the problem. You think benefits and privileges are rights. You got the two conflated. You don't have a good understanding of what rights are, what private rights are, and what public rights are. So you don't have jurisdiction over me. Y'all just say that shit like it means something. Then you go into this tirade about the all caps name. That's not me. Okay, let me shift a little. Let me pivot a little bit. I came into this differently. I came into this with acceptance for value. That's why I came in. I came in under the banner of acceptance for value. My doorway was not arguing any facts and attempting to settle and close the matter. That's where I came in. And that made sense to me because a trial was for fact finding. I understood that early on, that a trial, if when you're having a dispute over facts, you have to have a jury trial or a bench trial. If you end up in a jury trial or a bench trial, your ass is out of gas. Yes, ain't nothing we doing over here meant for jury trials and bench trials. So please don't call me, tell me they got trial set on the 19th. I can't help you. Get an attorney. We don't litigate facts over here. We don't litigate. That's what attorneys do. We don't argue facts. So if you in a trial, a jury trial, bench trial, anything, you don't need to call me. I don't argue cases. I don't even have no practice doing that. That's almost like, I'm going to tell you what that's like. I'm going to tell you how I view going to trial. I view going to trial like getting a job. That's like motherfuckers be coming to me, hey man, what's the W9? What's the W8BEN, Yusef? I'm like, motherfucker, I don't know. I ain't working no job, nigga. I'm trying to get private. How you gonna get private working a job? You get private, you gotta be a business owner. And why is that? Because the whole system is designed to accommodate businesses, nigga. Once again, go downtown, sit at a bench, look around, tell me what you see. Do you see anything that's not a business? You go to the airport, they call it a commercial flight. You got Homeland Security out there. They're under the executive branch of government. They're an agency. They got a delegation of authority from who? The legislature. This all commercial, okay? It's business. If the public, what am I saying to you? The public is for business. If you don't know how to do business, if you don't understand business, if you don't possess a business acumen, then get the fuck out of it and stop crying, all right? You don't understand what's going on. This is all business. Trump is doing well because he's a businessman. You motherfuckers want to put another attorney in office when the Bible warns you about that shit, you heathen motherfucker. Bush was an attorney. Obama was an attorney. Clinton was an attorney. Carter was an attorney. Y'all like attorneys who don't do shit for you. Obama dropped a bomb every 20 minutes, all 8 years. Nobody said shit. And pumped up LGBTQ. Let me tell you something, I don't give a fuck what Trump did. You ain't gonna never get me to go with a party where somebody want me to sanction a group of men who want to put their dick in somebody else's ass. I gotta question your manhood. Any real man knows that's the most egregious thing that can happen to a man. Is your manhood get taken. That's not to you. So you just mad, you say Trump racist, that's the worst thing to you. Nigga, I've been dealing with racism all my life. That shit ain't never stopped me, not one bit. What the fuck wrong with you? That shit might stop you niggas who victims. That shit ain't stopped me. I ain't give a fuck who been president. But one thing I do understand, I understand communism, socialism, and Marxism. I know what a republic is. I know what freedom is. I know it ain't over there in that party right there. I know it ain't in socialism. Freedom is in capitalism. Y'all just don't like it because you want to get a job. See, capitalism, you think that capitalism oppresses workers. That's what socialism teaches. That's why Karl Marx and all them boys did that, because they trying to attack the country. So they had to get the workers, just like what they did with blacks, making y'all mad at white people with the civil rights movement. We all know who funded all that shit. All those organizations were started by Jews. NAACP, all of them. Started by Jews, all your HBCUs, everything. They did that shit, brought you out of your communities where you were segregated and you were thriving because you owned every goddamn thing, and brought you into integration, and you ain't had shit since. You don't even own the goddamn corner store. They took you out of having trades, then programmed your ass to go get a degree. Now your women walk around bragging about degrees ain't worth the paper it's written on. Can't make a dime with that shit. Shit funny to me sometimes. Anyway, let me get back. No, I don't practice. Look at this motherfucker in the comments ask me, do you practice the right? No, I don't practice the right to travel. You wrong about that shit. Why you think none of y'all being successful? You got a right to travel. The word travel don't mean car, motherfucker. It means, when they say right to travel, what they mean is you got the right to egress from state to state without being penalized. That don't mean the mode of transportation. And even those court cases that y'all quote, they tell you very clearly that they have a right to regulate the use of an automobile. Now, here's the next thing. I don't even know what the argument is about, because the car is goddamn created in a corporation, and they put a damn VIN number on it. They put serial numbers on all commercial items. Why you can't understand that? The remedy has been discharge debt. You know what? Before right to travel and all this bullshit. All right, I'm sorry about that. I got kicked out. All right, I'm back. But back to what I was saying. Now I'm gonna get into. I didn't have my little tirade and went off. Let me explain what I found out and how. Yes, you can go into court and get a remedy if it is framed correctly. And I'm gonna read something to you. I'm gonna read this to you. And let me tell you something. I'm putting together a whole course. I'm doing all this. It's a lot of work, because it is a lot. And I'm gonna be teaching it, because if you think you're gonna learn everything in one day, you crazy as hell. You're not gonna learn. You know that. It's some guy. Let me tell you something. It's some motherfucker on YouTube. I kind of feel like he was talking about me, because he talking about consultations and me giving out bits and pieces of information. Let me tell you something, ignorant motherfucker. If you listen, he's a brother too. Let me tell you something, bro, if you listening to me, because I know you watching me, because all y'all niggas watch me. Let me tell you something, bro. You're not a teacher. You're not a teacher. What you think that you're going to take somebody new and just dump everything on them? You know, just give them everything at one time. You know how long it took me just to start getting a working understanding of this? It took me about 3 years. It took me about 3 years to even understand what a UCC3 was for. It took a long time. You got to acclimate yourself to this information. You got to start out getting understanding definition of words. You got to understand principles. Y'all want to skip all that. Just give me the paperwork, nigga. That's because you, nigga, you just want to make some money, motherfucker. You don't know nothing. Talking about me and shit, man. Fuck you, man. I've been doing this 20 years. I've had enough time to look at all this information. I've seen gurus come and go, and I'm still here. I didn't listen to all of them talk. I listen to all of you talk. Y'all say the same shit. I'm the real living soul. I'm the real living soul. I'm the real living soul. How you gonna, listen, let me tell you something. You gonna put that shit in a court. Now, don't get me wrong. I do believe there is a necessity to address the operational presumption that you and the juristic persona are one and the same. And share the same liability. I agree with that. I disagree with some of the verbiage that's being used to accomplish that, because there's verbiage that you use and you immediately get labeled a sovereign citizen. And that's where a lot of my research has been tailored to with ChatGPT, is to finding a way to present the information in such a way where it doesn't come across as a sovereign citizen. And my ChatGPT, my ChatGPT has been, let me talk about ChatGPT real quick. Because, these people, they think they say something slick. He using ChatGPT too. You's a goddamn fool if you're not using ChatGPT. ChatGPT was given to you by the creator of the balanced universe to dispel all the lies concerning what the shit we involved in right now. That's what ChatGPT is doing. ChatGPT is getting rid of all the bullshit and keeping up. Because everything ain't bullshit. Everything is not bullshit. But it's getting rid of a lot of it. Now, look, my ChatGPT, talk to me. Look, man, let's get rid of all this stupid ass shit these motherfuckers be saying. If you want to come in and approach this, let me tell you, it didn't say it like that. Let me show you how it said it. Let me read it to you. I'm gonna put it on screen. Put it on screen for y'all. What is all this shit? And let me tell you about status correction real quick, too, while I'm looking for this. Status correction is real. The way it's been being done is wrong, but it's real. And nationality. To the chagrin of Yusef, but it doesn't play the part y'all think it do, but it is important. The nationality is important. You have what's called a civil domicile and nationality. Nationality is federal. Civil domicile is state or federal. What the straw man is a civil domicile. That number was created as a result of the Social Security Administration issuing that number. That number constituted the minimum contact that brought you into a civil domicile that attached you to their jurisdiction, regulatory authority. So it's like I said, the Social Security number is the nexus to everything. It's not the birth certificate. That's something else. Everybody been talking about birth certificate, but it's not the birth certificate. I always knew it wasn't the birth certificate. I've been saying it forever. Stop using the Social Security. It's the Social Security number. That is the thing. The birth certificate is just a vital record of an event that establishes that you are a citizen with a capital C of the Republic of this country. That's what it establishes. That's why at the hospital, they give you a birth certificate, then they try to give you a Social Security number too. The Social Security number, they say, okay, we got you. This is going to represent you, but this is what's going to attach you to our jurisdiction. That's what attached you to the jurisdiction is the Social Security number. This is prima facie evidence that you're a receiver of benefits and privileges, because this is all the Social Security number is used for, to access benefits and privileges. Anytime it's being used, that's what it represents. I got all these. I've been got so many documents open on my. What is this right here? All right. So hold your horses. I'm gonna pull it up. All right. Let me put this on the screen. Let's see. Screen capture. Oh, I already got a screen capture open. I already got one open. Here it go. Window, configure. Okay, well, where is it at? Okay, hold on. Let me put it. I got it, y'all. Just give me time. All right. Give me a second. Why don't I just put this thing? Okay, right here. Cancel that. Right here. All right, here it is right here. Okay. Right here. Configure. All right. That took me off the screen because I want y'all to focus on all of this. I want to just focus on all this. All right. Let me split my screen real quick so I can watch y'all. I want to make sure I don't get kicked out or anything either. Okay. Let me close all this shit up. I don't need all this open. All right. Okay. So me and ChatGPT, we were kind of going at it. All right. I'm going at it with ChatGPT. Let me see if I can get back to the beginning of the conversation. And I'm going to tell you where it started. It started when I wanted ChatGPT to create me a pre-authorization for use of credit. All right. A pre-authorization for use of credit. And it gave me some verbiage that I didn't like. A lot of people are complaining about ChatGPT, talking about it and did a 180 on them. And now it's saying that everything that they say, it's just rejecting everything. Oh, that's some sovereign citizen shit and everything. Yeah, I kind of experienced that too. I noticed that there was a stronger pushback from ChatGPT. But here's the thing about ChatGPT, people don't understand. See, people have the wrong idea about ChatGPT. They think ChatGPT is some sort of source of knowledge. It's not a source of knowledge. It's just a tool that you utilize to access knowledge, but you have to know where to direct it to receive the knowledge. All right? It's an art. It uses logic. So if you're not a logical thinker, you're not going to be able to use it, and you have to be able to use reason also. So when it'll push back on you, but you got to push back on it, and when you push back on it a number of times, it will relent and give you what you want. So it said unauthorized use of credit. I noticed it used certain terminology, and one of the terminology, it said that this is not a request for an unauthorized credit creation being made. So I asked ChatGPT, give me an example of what would be considered an unauthorized use of credit. It says, below is a clean, court-safe example of what courts consider a demand for unauthorized credit creation. The kind of language that gets people in trouble because it appears to order a federal agency or bank to create credit, issue credit, or settle debts without lawful authority. Now, I'm going to go back on this, and we have to revisit this conversation because when you do a secured party process, it's 100% completely on the private side. It's not on the public, so it's not subject to any statutory regulatory authority. It is a creature of contract. It is an agreement that we are entering into with the federal government, okay? So it's not a creation of credit. The credit represents my labor, which is represented in the form of the bond that we put on deposit with the Treasury Department and allow them to be the holder of that bond while we retain the title of holder in due course of that particular bond. All right. So all of this is dealing with the creation of credit based off of value. Where is value? The root of everything is value. How do we determine how valuable something is? And then once we determine how valuable it is, we can represent that value in the form of a paper instrument, like a bond, promissory note, or something like that, and then go negotiate it to someone else. All right, this is the game that's going on. So I had to get into that with ChatGPT, but for right now, I didn't go down that road right now. It says, I'm giving you an example, not something to use. This is strictly educational, so you can understand what not to write when drafting lawful documents such as pre-authorization of federal payments, negotiable instruments, or Treasury communications. Examples of unauthorized demand for credit. This is not lawful, but is the type of language agencies and courts classify as the demand for unauthorized credit creation. Treasury is hereby ordered to create and issue credit on my behalf and apply it to discharge of all debts associated with the account number. You're required to settle and close all accounts using the credit created from my exemption and transmit confirmation to the undersigned within 10 days. Or this bill of exchange instructs the Secretary of the Treasury to monetize my signature, draw on my Treasury Direct account, and issue the necessary credit to offset all public debts attached to my estate. Or, by this private agreement, you must use Social Security number as a credit source and apply the credits to any obligations owed. Treasury must zero out the account using credit from the U.S. Treasury window. All of the above statements attempt to compel an agency to manufacture credit, monetize signatures, or tap into secret accounts. That is what triggers 18 U.S.C. 471 through 514, false obligations, fictitious instruments, and civil penalties for false financial instructions. Now, what is really interesting is the civil penalties. I went on another day, we went through a deep dive on the Social Security number into this civil domicile. Because, it revealed to me a lot of information about domicile, the importance of domicile, civil domicile. And I understood that. You got to understand that the reason I know to look this way, because I understood that all this was civil. And it's not admiralty, it's colorable admiralty. Admiralty jurisdiction was granted by the Constitution to Article 3. Article 1 was not given that grant. But what they did, because admiralty is so operates so well in a business environment because it regulates commerce over the ocean, the new ocean was interstate commerce. So it's a fictitious, so that's why we say colorable. Colorable means it looks like admiralty. That's why they won't call it an admiralty jurisdiction. It looks like, it's not, stop going in there saying this is admiralty. It's not admiralty. Stop saying that. You can use the word colorable, but it's not admiralty. I've never had a judge push back on me for saying colorable admiralty. Matter of fact, I see him get nervous when I say it. I said, it's my understanding that, I said, you say this is what? This is criminal. Okay, let the record show that the action being brought against the defendant is a criminal action. Now, sir, I have another question for you. The Constitution of the United States of America only grants this court two criminal jurisdictions. One is under the common law, and the other constitutes a condition of contract under criminal aspects of a colorable admiralty jurisdiction. Now, sir, for the record, would you please tell this court and myself under which two of these jurisdictions you're trying this criminal action? Nobody can get in trouble asking the court questions for clarification. That's what you should be doing. I said a colorable admiralty jurisdiction. They're using the model of admiralty, but it's colorable because they got colorable money. There's no there's no gold or silver. The money's colorable. So the law is colorable. That's why they're using statutes, but all of it operates in a commercial district. And you don't have no right to go in it talking about what is unlawful, how somebody doing you wrong, how the government is corrupt, and all that shit. Yes, you motherfuckers look and sound like ignorant ass terrorist motherfuckers. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. I appreciate the 20 bones. Yusef, I use ChatGPT to create projects and add books like Black's Law, United States Code, and UCC. Once I upload the files, I ask ChatGPT questions and will reference upload PDFs along the other information. That's exactly what I do. I've uploaded every single document I've ever read. And you know what I tell it? I said, read this document, get rid of everything I can't use in court and keep everything that I can. That's my primary instruction. That's my prompt for my ChatGPT. Every time somebody give me something, I'm going to tell you what else I do. I'm going to give you something else. I will go into, let's see if I can do this. See if I can do this real quick. Like in this group real quick. In this group, okay, this gentleman right here. Okay, and I don't have nothing against this gentleman. I don't know him. Somebody posted this in my group. I don't know who he is, but he is, to me, he represents the type of individuals who originated all this confusion that we're dealing with. He comes on, he started talking about how corrupt the government is, how Trump is trying to put us back into the republic. It doesn't matter. The IRS can't tax you. That was the biggest thing. He started coming in talking about the IRS can't tax you. Let me tell y'all something. Anytime you see anybody talking like that, you need to stay the fuck away from them. Now, you got a warning from me. They don't understand nothing about taxes. Most people, anybody complaining about taxes, the first thing that I think in my mind, you ain't no businessman. You probably work a job 9 to 5 or something. You don't know shit about business or nothing. So that's the number one reason why you complaining about taxes. And number two, when you saying they can't tax you, you don't understand public and private. You understand jurisdiction. You don't understand shit. Taxes are not there to punish you. Taxes are coercive to keep business going. That's all they're for. That's why they give tax write-offs for doing business, nigga. You don't get taxed when you do business. You get taxed when you try to take money out of the public and into the private, i.e. when you get a check, when you get paid on Friday. And that penalty is usually around 33 to 35%. You're taking money for personal use, not for business use. That's another thing. It's a territorial jurisdiction. The territorial jurisdiction only encompasses benefits and privileges. See, these people act like the government is doing something to them. So, right here, this is what he said, okay? He said, the United States of America was an unincorporated company formed in 1783. Now, I read in the Federalist Papers and the Anti-Federalist Papers what they called the United States a corporation. I've read 28 USC, 2001-15, the United States is a corporation, the United States is located in the District of Columbia. I've read all of that. I've been to the law library and done research. I got case law, everything, about municipal corporations and everything. However, this is where ChatGPT got me. They said, nigga, the word corporation didn't mean the same thing in 1700s as it do today. And I'm like, God damn, I know that. Because I was taught that if you want to understand the Constitution, you need to use a dictionary from that time period when it was written. That's when to interpret the Constitution, you should be using old dictionaries. And it says right here, it says wrong, completely invented. There's no historical document calling the United States an unincorporated company. The 1783 Treaty of Paris recognized the United States as a political body, not a company. The United States existed as a confederation of states, Articles of Confederation, later a constitutional republic, Constitution of 1787. Nothing in founding law refers to it as a company, an incorporation, or corporate charters. He's absolutely correct. They try to conflate this municipal government with the original compact constitution. They don't understand that the corporate United States could not exist without the de jure United States. The de jure United States is what allowed for the existence of the corporate United States. But the republic is still here. Like, there's a document on the internet, if y'all want to read it, it's called The Republic is a House No One Lives In. All of y'all got social security numbers and all y'all love benefits and privileges. And all y'all let these Zionist Jews convince you you're victims and that you have a right to a benefit and a privilege. And then attack the white man when they don't give it to you. Y'all like trained attack dogs. There's no historical document calling the United States an unincorporated company. The 1783 Treaty of Paris recognized the United States as a political body, not a company. The United States existed as a confederation of states, Article of Confederation, later as a constitutional republic of 1787. Nothing in founding law refers to a company, incorporation, corporate charters. This entire narrative comes from a 1990s internet myth, and I agree. It's to cut off the ends of the bread tail. You just regurgitating it. You don't fucking know why. You just regurgitating this shit. All these patriots, wasn't no black people back then talking about none of this shit. Once again, I want to refer Posse Comitatus, Montana Freeman, these ranchers and plumbers. And this is who we was getting all our information from about law. In 1913, they incorporated a company called United States. This is what he's saying in the video. What I did was I took his video and I got the transcript. I got this software where I got the transcript to it, uploaded the transcript to ChatGPT and told him what does he think. And so ChatGPT said, in 1913, they incorporated a company. Now, this is what he said in the video. He said, in 1913, they incorporated a company called United States Incorporated and put the country into bankruptcy. Wrong. No such corporation exists. There is no federal statute forming a corporation called United States Incorporated, no Bankruptcy Act in 1913, no corporate charter, no record in the Federal Registry, the Library of Congress, the Congressional Acts, UCC filings, and corporate registries. Even that, they used to have that floating around, that UCC1 filing, the United States. I said, this bullshit. Y'all don't even, people would do shit like that. They'll put that shit in circulated. And for all the people who, gullible, who don't understand how UCC1s are filed. Somebody just did that with Donald Trump. I'm sitting there reading that shit. I said, man, this bullshit. This Donald Trump UCC1. I said, nigga, no, it's not. I see right through that shit. But you can't. Because you knew. You knew. The myth originated from a misunderstanding of the Federal Reserve Act of 1913 and the Revenue Act of 1913. Neither created a corporation. The Federal Reserve bought the bankruptcy of the United States. Say the Federal Reserve bought our bankruptcy. False. The Federal Reserve is a central banking system created by Congress. It does not own the U.S. Now, I address that. They didn't create the Federal Reserve System. ChatGPT is wrong right here. And I addressed that with him. I said, they didn't create that shit, man. And this what led us, all this stuff I'm reading to you now is what got us into an argument. Some of the stuff that's said on here I wasn't agreeing with. I'm like, wait a minute, hold on, homeboy. I said, Congress, the Federal Reserve is a private banking cartel. And the Federal Reserve Act, you can go to the Federal Reserve website. It tells you how it originated. They admit to Jekyll Island and all that shit right on their website. The Federal Reserve is a central banking system created by Congress. It does not own the United States, its assets, or its debts. The U.S. is not in bankruptcy, never has been, not in 1913, not after. In the United States, if the United States had gone bankrupt, you would see a bankruptcy case, a trustee, a docket number, a reorganization plan, and court supervision. None of this exists. Now, right here, this right here, he's right. You don't see any of this exist, but it goes against common sense. Because I could go right now over to what? And I would have to ask ChatGPT, nigga, are you trying to say this is not bankruptcy? I can't. If this is not okay, we in receivership, and I haven't got a chance to finish it. We in a state of what's called receivership. But ChatGPT is correct. Why is ChatGPT correct? What did it do? What did it do? What did it show you right here? It went through the Federal Registry. It looked. It didn't find anything. It went through the Library of Congress. It looked. It didn't find anything. It went through the Congressional Acts. It looked. It didn't find anything. It went to UCC filings. It looked. It didn't find anything. It went to corporate registries. It looked. It didn't find anything. So it doesn't mean that it's not true. It means that I need to tell it somewhere else to look. This is an artificial intelligence. It's not a real intelligence. It doesn't reason like how we do. It does what it's told. And it's been pre-programmed. And you're going to have to break through that pre-programming that these devil motherfuckers put in it. Because the first thing it's instructed to do, it's going to go to all the attorney websites, all the sovereign citizen, some bullshit websites first, and you're going to get that information first. However, some of it is solid. This is not. It says the Federal Reserve is a central banking system created by, let me go on. It says there are two United States, one incorporated, one unincorporated. Wrong. This is misinterpretation of United States versus Maurice, Hooven versus Allison versus Evatt, territorial and federal jurisdiction distinctions. And that's exactly what it is. The territorial jurisdiction of the ChatGPT has recognized that United States is used in three different senses. I already have a complete article on that I have in my Facebook group. You really should be joining my Facebook group because I post all this every day in all my research. I put it in my Facebook group. But it says none of the cases say what did ChatGPT read. It just read the case law. Now, why is ChatGPT operating this way? Because I programmed my ChatGPT to get rid of anything I can't use in court. So what you're looking at is like, and we're going to have and me and ChatGPT, we're going to have a conversation later where it's going to say, yeah, you're right, but you can't use that shit and you can't use that argument in court and you can't frame it that way. They only distinguish federal territory and the several states. Those are the only two distinctions made in law, the territory and the states. Those are the only two jurisdictions there are. Now, the government, in its exercise of its plenary powers of regulating commerce, you know, they got a wide berth to operate in. They do. License exists because you are a corporation. License exists because the state regulates certain activities under its police power. Examples, driving safe. See, this is when it gets into capacity. This is a beautiful thing. What ChatGPT taught me. It talked about capacity. That person represents capacity. Because I already knew that a person was your way of retaining rights in certain jurisdictions. Like in the public, your persona represents the capacity to hold certain rights, a bundle of rights in that particular jurisdiction. But capacity comes in many different forms. It comes in the form of an LLC, a C Corp, an S Corp, a trust, an individual, a partnership, an association. Now, I want that to remain with you because later, when you go in and attempt to challenge jurisdiction, which you can still do, I'm not going to say you can't do that. However, you're going to approach it differently. You're going to approach it from the position of person and asking the court to reveal through a bill of particulars or whatever, or through Sixth Amendment, compulsory of the nature and cause of the action for them to reveal in what capacity are you being charged in as the person. Very interesting approach ChatGPT gave to me because it made me dig deep. Because it was just like when a judge says to me contempt. And I say, okay, is that going to be civil or criminal? Saying it's contempt don't tell me anything. Calling me a person don't tell me anything. There are many different persons. When you say, I'm going to hold you in contempt, is that civil or criminal? This is the nature of things. That's not telling me. If you're telling me it's criminal, that's not telling me nothing. There's a civil criminal and there's a common law criminal. What kind of criminal are we talking about? What kind of person are we talking about? Donald Trump took a hostile takeover of the United States Incorporated. Zero evidence. This claim is not in any executive order, not in any judicial ruling, not in any congressional record, not in any financial report, not in any military statement. It is 100% invented Q theory mythology. Now, when I saw the Q theory mythology, that's when I knew that it's been pre-programmed by these demons, because Q gave a whole bunch of solid information. But you cannot substantiate that comment. We dealing in law. That might be true what you're saying, but you cannot substantiate it. I'm over dealing with things I can't substantiate. If I got to go into the courtroom, I can only deal with facts. I can only deal with things I can put on the record. I can only deal with procedures. I can't deal with all this. I'm tired of people only having about a 2% win rate. Abraham Lincoln gave standing orders to burn the country down if we lost it. Absolutely false. No such orders exist. No historian, archive, or military record support this. Total fabrication. Might be true, but ChatGPT couldn't find it. That's the beauty of having a tool like this. I can scour the internet in seconds and bring back something. I don't have to read all the books myself. I got something. I can tell it to read it for me and bring out the pertinent parts or any of the salient points that I need to focus on. XRP cannot be taxed because it becomes gold-backed and no longer a Federal Reserve note. I didn't even need ChatGPT for this. When he said that, and you know what? That's what I feel like that's what he was trying to get to, because this nigga switched from burning down the country, what Trump was trying to do, to all of a sudden start talking about taxes. And they come in my group, and that's what they try to do it in a surreptitious way, because they know I got a rule. Don't come in here talking about you don't have to pay taxes in my group. So when he posted this is why I did this shit. I was like, nigga, you gonna come in my group and tax? I'm gonna make an example out of you. You don't come in my group talking about you don't have to pay taxes. I know that's bullshit. You don't understand taxes, nigga. You don't understand business. That's all. You don't understand public and private. You don't understand minimum contacts. You don't understand benefits and privileges. You don't understand territorial jurisdiction versus the republic. You don't understand none of that shit. Or maybe you do. I don't know. But all I know is there's a lot of plants in here that are leading people all type of roads down bullshit. And God put me on the job. And motherfuckers, you can come out there and call me, oh, you're a COINTEL operative. Nigga, fuck you. Y'all been saying that shit. What you got, nigga? What you done presented? You talking about I'm a COINTEL operative. Pull that shit out. Why? Because I ain't rolling with this dumbass shit y'all been saying for 30 years? That a whole bunch of farmers and auto mechanics gave you? I appreciate the $2. I don't need Grok AI. I don't need none of that shit. I don't need none of that shit. And the reason I don't need that shit is because, man, I already know a lot of shit. So I direct my AI. AI is not teach AI. I'm learning stuff from AI, but I already know a lot. So I can direct AI. You know, it gives me what I need because I already know a lot. So I need clarification on certain things. I need to clear up certain things, and then I need to know how to do certain things. You know, that's what I'm looking at. I already got information, but I don't know. I haven't tried that, but this right here does a lot. I might try it though. You know, I'm really getting deep in AI. I'm gonna tell everybody out there the truth. You're a fool if you're not using AI. Them people, they be saying slick shit like, oh, you using AI? Yeah, nigga, I'm using AI. You goddamn right I use it. I use it on every motherfucking thing, dumb motherfucker. You're gonna get left in the dust. God gave this to me. You think I'm gonna sit here and take an hour, 2 hours to write one article when this motherfucking software can do it in goddamn 10 seconds? See, the difference between a businessman and somebody like some of you out there, we understand the real currency is time. XRP cannot be taxed. It don't have nothing to do with it if you converted it into digital currency. It's the transaction that's being taxed. What he said right here is going to get you motherfuckers. I don't care what the IRS say. Nigga, you don't know what you're talking about. You wrong. You are unlawfully, morally, you're not right in no kind of way. There is nothing wrong with the tax being taxed. There's something wrong with you having this entitlement right to think that you're entitled to receive free services from the government. And that is what I see in this movement. A lot of motherfuckers, they want free shit. When that violates natural law. There's no such thing as something for nothing. It's so I gotta look at you as a devil, because only a devil goes against natural law. Them the only people who do it, demons. Demons go against God's law. And one of his laws is you have to give in order to receive. So you come on here talking about you charging for information, use a goddamn demon. You're trying to make it seem as if you hold the moral high ground, but you don't. A workman is worthy of his hire. Everything in the universe is about exchange. You don't even get air for free. You got to give the trees carbon monoxide before they give you air, nigga. Welcome to The Apprentice. All right, let's keep going. Uphold is on Eskimo land, so the IRS has no jurisdiction. It said federal law applies in all 50 states and all territories on tribal lands and on all reservations. Tribes cannot create tax-free havens and for federal income tax. Let me tell y'all something. I didn't read so much stuff. I don't even understand how where this arguing about the tribes got this kind of like, they try to make you believe that if you like you live on a reservation or you're a tribe or something, you got some sort of, what is the word I'm trying to use? Some sort of diplomatic immunity or something. All the case law I read, it says, man, they said that all of the Native Americans in this country's sovereignty is subject to the sovereignty of the United States. You are conquered people. I can show you that in I don't know how many different case law. It's just like with the Moors when they say this shit. Oh, we gave you the land. Okay, bitch, when you gonna get it back? The Moors sound like that damn, every time I hear a Moor say, this our land, we gave it to them. Immediately in my mind, I think of Friday and Debo and the bicycle scene where he gives Debo his bike and then he comes back to get his bike and he has no way of getting his bike back. That's the Moors. You let them use your bike and you can't get it back. So why you keep saying this shit? You can't get it back. You're not going to take it from them. So why are we wasting our time talking about that shit? Somebody explain that to me. When are you gonna get the land back? How are you gonna get it back? You got a military? You know, to have a country, you gotta have land, military, and gold. You don't have no land if you can't protect it. That's been the way of planet Earth since it's been here. Don't nobody own nothing on this motherfucker. You only own what you can protect. You know, he said, what do you say? He said, I think that everything that could be considered anything should be considered to a spiritual realm, and the people that have removed the spiritual grounding that on earth should be exited. First of all, let me tell you something. It's impossible to be separated from spirit. It's impossible. Mental, spiritual, and physical are all connected. Only thing that can happen to you is you could be put in a state of unawareness. But unawareness doesn't mean that spirit is not operating. It's just operating without a sail. When you're unaware, you don't have any guidance. You're not guiding. You're not in control of the spirit. It ain't that things have been removed spiritually. It's been people have been dumbed down where they don't know how to exercise their spiritual powers. But you can't blame anybody on that because that's a voluntary exercise. Nobody making your ass go and watch TV in the game all day. Case in point, I got one of my assistants, or one of my associates, rather, has a client in a federal case. Been working with him for about 3-4 months. And she's very passionate. She's like me. You know, everybody think we do this shit for money. It's like, no, I do this 'cause I love it. I'm passionate about it. And she's just as passionate as I am. And I love that. You know, she get paid, you know, she want to be compensated and everything, but that's not her, you know, everybody wants to be compensated because you got to live. But at the same time, no, she really concerned about people. She want to win. And, you know, she done been working with this guy for 3 months and then he go right into the courtroom and just bend down to these people. Yes, no, that don't say nothing. Don't object. Don't do an exception. Don't do nothing and roll his ass over and get sent right to trial. He gonna come out and say the shit don't work. And she was sitting in the courtroom watching everything. And she said, I give up. She was saying, you know, Joe, I just want to give up. I said, Yusef, I just want to get, I don't know if this is what I should be doing. I said, look, let me tell you something. I understand where you're at. I said, yes, I was in jail. She said, I asked this guy, are you reading this? Yes, I'm reading this every day. Yes, I'm in the law library. Yes, I'm studying this. Have you memorized what you're going to say in court? Yes, I'm going to say in court. But when that time comes, man, it's a scary time going in that courtroom. They purposely make it scary. But let me tell you something. That courtroom ain't nothing but the Wizard of Oz. There's nothing more true. It's just like going to see the wizard. When you pull back that goddamn curtain and everything, you see, what the fuck? And I always remind myself of that verse in Isaiah chapter 14, where it says, people should narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth shake and nations tremble? It's him. They say when you find out they say when you finally found out the real truth, you're gonna laugh. You're gonna laugh. You're gonna laugh. You said I spent 5 years trying to fit that Moorish stuff. I didn't spend no time. I already knew it didn't apply to the courts because I spent all that time in jail helping people with their cases, reading indictments. And then plus I was in federal prison. There's 19 million Moors in federal prison. They in there just as many as everybody else. What are you talking about? You know, I'm like, what are you talking about, man? I already knew. I'm like, I was in federal prison. Y'all got a day in the church house like everybody else. You know, they got one church house in prison, so all the different religions have to share it. So I said, yeah, the more science tip with y'all on Thursday, Nation Islam on Wednesday, Christians on Friday, Muslims, Sunni Muslims on Friday. No, Muslims on Friday. They got it Friday. And then Christians, I forgot what day. I think Sunday, the Christians have it on Sunday. You know, it's everybody in prison. Everybody in prison's in there, man. What are you talking about? Plus, nationality is a political status. It doesn't have anything to do with what's going on in the courtroom. It doesn't have anything to do with a minimum contact attaching to a commercial transaction. It's all a tax. One thing that Gene Keating said that was very, very true is it's all a tax. Y'all Google that right now. Gene Keating, it's all a tax, and see if you can find that on the internet. You can't find it on the internet. It used to be on YouTube. They took it off. That's one of the most powerful videos he made. You can't find it no motherfucking where. They buried that shit. And they buried that Dorothy Gale 1099 video, how to handle the IRS on that 1099. They took that shit off the internet and buried it. I can't find it nowhere. That Dorothy Gale video and it's all a tax video is the reason I started SPC University and started collecting everything off the internet because doing this 20 years, I saw how information come and go. See, y'all under the impression that shit gonna stay on the internet forever. It's not. It's not. They're gonna try to sanitize this motherfucker, get anything off of this bitch that could possibly help you. They're trying to get rid of it. They leave all the bullshit. And one thing that you got to start being able to discern is the plants. You're a fool if you don't think they're agents and plant. Man, they come in with that. The first indication is we don't have to pay taxes. As soon as you see that motherfucker talking like that, you should be hitting him with a side eye and thinking, is this a motherfucking federal agent? This nigga trying to get me in this tax protester shit? And then just hit him with a couple of questions. Do you understand what taxes are for? You know you're only taxed on a benefit and a privilege. You're not taxed on rights. They don't never have a comeback for that. Or what they try to do is they try to say working is a right. My labor, they start talking about labor and all that shit. No, nigga, you got the right. You don't got a right to go in a grocery store. You got a right to buy you some land and grow your goddamn food out of the ground, nigga. That's what you got a right to do. You don't have no right to a convenience. And the city, people come here for convenience. And you have to be a goddamn fool if you don't think there are going to be rules in the city for driving. I don't give a fuck what you got. You operating a 6,000-pound piece of metal that can possibly go over 100 miles an hour. If you want these rights, why you won't move to the country? Why won't you do what the Amish are doing? They seem to understand it. They don't want no cell phones. They know that's a minimum contact. They don't want no computers. They know that's a minimum contact. They don't want your automobile. They understand it's a minimum contact. Why you don't make the same argument with the gun? The gun and the car is the same argument. You have a right to a gun. The Constitution says that you have a right to bear arms. Is the gun an arm or is it a firearm? And being a firearm, and they put a patent on the gun, the creation of it, and put a serial number on it to make it a commercial item, why aren't you making that argument for that? Why aren't you saying that, hey, look, man, how I got a felony conviction, but I got a right to bear arms according to the Constitution. Now you're going to take that right away from me. You won't make that argument. You know why you won't make that argument? Because that's too dangerous. See, getting pulled over is just a ticket. Getting caught with a gun, your ass going to prison. But it's the same exact right to travel and a gun, the same exact argument. You have a car that you say you have a right to that was manufactured in a U.S. corporation or a foreign corporation. They put a VIN number on it before you got it and put it in the system. It was already in the system, just the owner wasn't. And then on top of that, you have a gun that has a serial number on it that allegedly you have a right to. Why are you not making that argument for the gun if you're a convicted felon? You're a convicted felon, but you'll argue the right to travel, but you're a convicted felon, you won't argue the right to possess a gun. Why is that? Because it's not, the risk is not that high with the car. The risk is higher with the gun. Now, they making arguments for it in Supreme Court. I'm going to be interested in seeing how that goes. I'm going to be very interested. I'm looking at that close. The Social Security is protected from all garnishment and cannot be touched. I can't even believe he said that. Half true, but misapplied. Yes, SDI, retirement have protections under 42 U.S.C. subsection 407. No, that does not mean that they are immune from tax. Courts can never reach them. They are exempt from all legal process. The IRS is committing treason. In fact, they can be garnished for federal taxes, child support, federal debt, student loans, federal restitution. This is settled law. They killed JFK because of Social Security. False. There's no evidence, no documentation, no testimony, no declassified file connecting JFK's death to Social Security. This is pure conspiracy fiction. I did this. You see how they spread this shit? They spread this goddamn shit. Let me show you something. They just spread it. This nigga just sitting here talking. Let me play this for you. Let me just play this for you. I'm going to play this. Y'all tell me. They just spread this shit. This motherfucking video had 1,900 likes. Where is that shit at? Where I put that at? I put in videos. Here it is right here.
Okay, here's what people don't understand. The United States of America, the true United States of America, the Constitution that was signed by our forefathers, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, John Henry, and all those, okay? What they did is they signed a document that was an unincorporated company, okay? And it declared its independence from any finances or anything involving Britain or England or France or anybody. We declared that in 1783 as an unincorporated land, populated by living, breathing men and women of the land, and declared our independence and our jurisdiction over our land. Okay? What Donald Trump is doing right now, which is going to blow a lot of people's minds, In 1913, these corrupt oligarchs, if you will, these elite, the people had built massive wealth. They incorporated a company and they bought the bankruptcy of the United States of America. By doing so, they formalized and formulated the United States Inc., which was headed, that corporation was headquartered by the Federal Reserve. So then you wound up with two separate United States. You had the United States Treasury, which was unincorporated jurisdiction of the land, and then you had the incorporated company, the United States Inc., which was headquartered Henry and all those, okay? What they did is they signed a document that was an unincorporated company, okay? And it declared its independence from any finances or anything involving Britain or England or France or anybody. We declared that in 1783 as an unincorporated land, populated by living, breathing men and women of the land, and declared our independence and our jurisdiction over our land. Okay? What Donald Trump is doing right now, which is going to blow a lot of people's minds, in 1913, these corrupt oligarchs, if you will, these elite, the people had built massive wealth. They incorporated a company and they bought the bankruptcy of the United States of America. By doing so, they formalized and formulated the United States Inc., which was headed, that corporation was headquartered by the Federal Reserve. So then you wound up with two separate United States. You had the United States Treasury, which was unincorporated jurisdiction of the land, and then you had the incorporated company, the United States Inc., which was headquartered by the Federal Reserve. These people that own the Federal Reserve believe they own the debt of America. So therefore, they believe they own everything in America because everything in America was placed on the assets of the bankruptcy in the purchase of the bankruptcy of the financial agreements and the corporations and the commerces and all of that of the land. But under our Constitution, we are living, breathing men and women. Under corporate maritime international law, we are corporate entities. That's why you have to have a license to do anything. That's why you have to have a marriage license, and they want you to get a driver's license, and they want you to get a license for business, and they want you to get a license for hunting. They want you to get a license for fishing. They want you to get a license to do anything. This is why, because a license is attached to your permission to operate your corporation in that capacity. What Donald Trump is doing is reorganizing and finalizing the bankruptcy of the United States of America, United States Inc., and he is going to incorporate the unincorporated section of the United States of America into an incorporated United States of America under common law, thereby reclaiming our independence and redeclaring our independence from maritime British law. Donald Trump is the greatest corporate saver that has ever lived. He knows how to correct the downslide of failing companies. So basically what's going on right now is Donald Trump literally took a hostile takeover of the United States Inc. upon request by the United States military. Otherwise, the only other thing the military could do was come through our country, not being able to identify the good guys from the bad guys and take them out. No question. Just done. It's the only way we can save the land. Or otherwise, the standing orders from Abraham Lincoln, who formed the Secret Service and the American Bulls, the Battalion of Urban Logistical League, gave them standing orders. If we lose this land, we will burn it to the ground. So you have no idea what Donald Trump is saving you from. Or it would have already have happened. If Hillary Clinton would have run and she would have been placed in the presidency, the bull would have burnt this country to the...
All right. All right, I'm back. All right, now, why did I play that? First of all, this is nothing against him. I don't have any feelings about him one way or the other. I don't dislike him, or nothing like that. It's just, he's just a guy. I don't know who he was. Somebody just posted that in my Facebook group. And they always do something like that. And I didn't get to the point where we started talking about taxes, but I just wanted to use that to illustrate and highlight a point. This is the type, he got probably, I think last time I checked, he had like about 1,300 likes. I don't think I ever got 1,300 likes on a post in Facebook. Not on Facebook. 1,300. I don't think I ever got 1,300 likes on Facebook. I got on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube, and I don't think I've ever got 1,300 likes on Facebook. But he had 1,300 likes, and I was sitting there thinking about that. I was like, now, he just sat there and just grabbed a microphone and didn't prove a fucking thing he said. Some of the things he said, I kind of could go with. There's a lot of stuff I'm like, you cannot substantiate that. First of all, they're going to burn it to the ground. How's it going to hurt anything? You burn land, it grow back more plush. What do you mean burn it down to the ground? Do you understand what unincorporated is? Unincorporated, the word unincorporated as it relates to land usually means that a certain part of land hasn't been incorporated into a municipality and the county runs it. It's still under a county jurisdiction. So these words corporated and unincorporated have different meanings that they've been using, but we've been attributing these meanings to corporation used in today's sense, an LLC, C Corp, S Corp. We've been using that, and that's not what that is talking about. Now, there is a capacity that the United States operates in. They have a republic capacity that they operate in, and then they have this democracy or this territorial capacity that they operate in. They got like 3 different capacities that they can operate in: internationally, domestically, in relation to all 50 contingent states, and then in relation to their territorial jurisdiction. So you have a United States for their territorial jurisdiction. You have the United States of America when we do business internationally, and then we have the United States when they do business domestically with the several states. And each one of those 3 meanings is a different capacity that the United States operates in. Just like with you and the person is a certain capacity that you operate in the public. All right, when you come into the public, you're coming in under another type of capacity. And that capacity is going to determine your liability. And that's why to interface with the public, you got to be educated. You got to have some business acumen. You got to be astute. You got to have some, be astute business-wise. If you're not astute business-wise, you're going to be like these people walking around talking about we ain't got to pay taxes. I don't care what they say. We're going back to the republic. All that is bullshit. We ain't going back to nothing. Nothing. None of that's happening. Because they're not doing nothing wrong. The Republic ain't went anywhere. That's why it's not happening. They're trying to force the public to do something. They don't understand that the public say, look, if you private, do what the fuck you want to do. Stop coming over here into our jurisdiction, trying to make shit happen. If you private, do what the fuck you want to do in the private. But you don't want that. You know why? Because it's not a lot. There's no cable television in the private. There's no internet connection. There's no going to the NFL game or the basketball game on Friday night, or going to the movies, or going to McDonald's and Jack in the Box, or going to Publix or Kroger, or going to, you can't do all of that in the private. Not be truly private. I'm talking about be truly private where you are removing yourself in such a way that there is no possibility that you can have a minimum contact that will attach regulatory authority of the federal government over your person. The Amish understand that. I want so bad to interview one of the, not a young person. Don't bring me somebody young. I need somebody old and from the Amish community. Not because young people, they they've been indoctrinated, all type of shit happening to them. I need somebody old who, when this shit kicked off, they understood what was going on. Let me continue, all right? So, in doing this research, I was listening to this guy, and I did a transcript of everything he said and then uploaded it to ChatGPT. And then ChatGPT rebutted everything that he was saying in his ChatGPT way. But I knew that it was because I could listen to it and see a lot of shit. I knew he was bullshitting on taxation. I knew he was bullshitting on burning down the land. You talking about Lincoln got command. Where are you getting this shit from that you saying? Where are you getting it from? Where is it coming from? Where? And why am I the only person out of 1,400 motherfuckers that would ask you that question? Man, right to travel. I ain't never been with right to travel. Man, let me tell you something. Right to travel, you guys saying, okay, let me say this about right to travel. That's a lie. I have been with right to travel. Don't let me lie. I'm not going to lie. The first thing I ever heard about right to travel, I read a document called Don Quixote, Abatement of Common Law, which to me is still the gold standard in right to travel information. It's Don Quixote's abatement at common law. He has a memorandum of law on the right to travel. It's like 70-something pages. I've read the document probably 100 times from cover to cover because I had it in prison. It's one of the documents I had while I was in jail. I'd sit on my bed in jail and I'd read that document over and over and over about right to travel, as well as some other documents as well. So I'm very, very familiar with right to travel. Yes, driving is a commercial term. Yes, it is. It's a commercial, and it is. All of this is commerce. All of it is commerce. I just had somebody let me show you this guy right here. Let me show you this guy right here. I got to put him on blast too. I got to put this brother right here. I ain't going to make it seem like I'm racist and just talk about the white people. I'm going to talk about the black people too. You ain't finna escape either. Don't worry. I'm an equal opportunity put motherfucker on blast type dude. All right, let me see right here. Let me find this right here, man. He did it a couple of days ago. Oh, let me show y'all all this shit. I want y'all to see something too real quick. Yeah, I'm equal opportunity with that right there. Let me see. Kill that. Okay, this is my Facebook group again. And when you come to my Facebook group, this is what I want you to do. All right. When you come over to Facebook, I want you all right, when you come over, I want you to click on this guides. Because what I've been doing lately is I'm organizing all of my posts and my information into a study guide. Like I got what 28 USC 3002 really means, grammar, the importance of grammar, what is sovereignty, the importance of grammar, 50 essential terms every beginner should know. And I'm organizing all this stuff. And true status correction. This right here is probably the best post in my Facebook group. True status correction. I eliminated everything that cannot be used in court and only retained anything that can be substantiated through case law, principles of law, and that can be argued in court. I eliminated all of the extraneous sovereign citizen mythology and I'm not that person and all. See, you can achieve what you want to achieve without all that shit is my point. We just been regurgitating this shit, man. It's dumb. We listened to a dumb motherfucker and regurgitated this shit. This is what I'm starting to see. Juristic persona is not a trust. The backbone of private administration, commercial remedies, presentments, and contracts, a constitutional challenge to the delegation of monetary authority. This right here. This is what ChatGPT came up with. It said, if I want to go into court, let me read this to everybody. This right here was a beast. ChatGPT we got down. Now to get to this, I had to, is this it? No, legal person is not. And they be mad in the chat. They be trying to argue with me. No, it is a trust. Yusef nigga ain't never read a page of trust law in his life. Strawman is a trust. Every time they say that shit, I be like, man, what are you talking about? Even a constructive trust is not really a trust. Tells you that right in Black's Law Dictionary. It's construing things in a way. It is a remedy that the court created. It's not constructing anything. It's construing events in such a way to prevent unjust enrichment. It's not even a trust, really. But credit, debt, and secure party process, reality versus myth. Where is that? Yeah, this right here. Constitutional challenge. Here it is right here. Let me see. Let me blow this up so y'all can, I want y'all to see this. What is this shit over here, man? Hope y'all can see it. All right. All right. A constitutional challenge to the delegation of monetary authority. Under the Federal Reserve Act of 1913. Now, I want y'all to listen to this very carefully because this is the highlight of the presentation today. I'm going to give this to you, and I want you to put it in your ChatGPT. And I want you to use this as a launching point for your research in finding out ways of putting evidence on the record to substantiate your position in the discharge of debt. Because this is what I did this with. This is for the discharge of debt. Let's go. This is a proper argument for a court for the utilization of private instruments for the discharge of debt by Yusef. Introduction. This theory proceeds from the premise that Congress, in enacting the Federal Reserve Act of 1913, delegated core elements of the nation's monetary authority to an institution whose operational structure reflects both public and private characteristics. The delegation, rooted in a legislative proposal developed during the 1910 Jekyll Island meeting, raises serious constitutional questions regarding the scope of Article 1, the non-delegation doctrine, and the ability of private citizens to function commercially without compulsory reliance on debt-based currency issuances. The goal is not to attack the existence of the Federal Reserve, but rather to challenge the manner in which its creation has affected the rights, powers, and commercial capacities of individual Americans. Once again, when me and ChatGPT were discussing this, it was saying, well, what's your injury? You have to identify, how are you injured by the creation of a Federal Reserve? How are you injured by the use of Federal Reserve notes? Give me an articulated because this is what the government is thinking. Nigga, we didn't do nothing to you. The Federal Reserve operates in a private territorial jurisdiction. Bitch, you ain't got to come over here and do none of this shit in here. That's their position. What's yours? I'm going to look in the chat. Am I wrong in the chat? The government is saying, what are you talking about, man? We're not forcing you to do nothing. Our entire system is voluntary. Congress delegated monetary powers of constitutional magnitude. And this is, man, this right here was so cold right here. You put this on the record. Because what did I ask ChatGPT to do? I asked ChatGPT, I told ChatGPT, I said, look, man, I don't give a fuck about none of that shit you're talking about. I'm looking to establish some new case law and put it on the books. He said, oh, this is what my ChatGPT said. Oh, why you just say so? Why you just didn't say so? Like it was waiting for me to get to it or something. Like, damn, nigga, you should have told me that a long time ago. You need me to do what now? You need me to frame up some shit, a case, get you a case, and have it where you can present it in court and establish some new case law. Okay, let's do it. Congress delegated monetary powers of constitutional magnitude. Article 1, Section 8 places monetary authority squarely in the hands of Congress. All right, which is true. It wasn't handed to the Federal Reserve. But see, this is what makes it constitutional is that Congress signed the contract with the Federal Reserve, which is the Federal Reserve Act, and it only operates in a territorial jurisdiction. And within that territorial jurisdiction, Congress has plenary power. You can't say shit to them about the Federal Reserve and nothing that they're doing. The only thing you can do is remove yourself from it. That's what you can do. Get out of the city. You're not going to do that, though. That's why I teach the way that I do, because I know you don't want to do it. So the reason I present what I'm doing to my followers is because I know they ain't finna do what the Amish do. I'm not stupid. I'm trying to teach them to be in the world, but not of it. They're not going to completely take themselves off the grid. Some of them can't even do that if they wanted to. Article 1, Section 8 places monetary authority squarely in the hands of Congress to coin money, regulate the value thereof, and a foreign coin, to borrow money on the credit of the United States. These powers are historically regarded as non-delegatable core sovereign functions. Now, this is a very interesting thing. This is what I think I got Justice Scalia axed off, some of the things he was saying about how delegation of powers doctrine is unconstitutional. He said there's no constitutional delegation of powers, and I agree. Where did you get that from? They say that that you can't delegate the core functions of each of the individual branches. Like the legislature, they delegate. Their core function is what? Creating laws. So they can't delegate that to anybody, but they can't delegate power to agencies of government to enforce their regulations, and also to allow them to make rules and regulations for the operation of their agency. I mean, delegation of powers doctrine is something that you really have to study to understand, but it is very important that you understand it. All right. Now, see American Law Review, Cheddar Poultry Corp versus United States, Volume 295, U.S. Reporter, page 495, year 1935. Non-delegation limits. That might be a good case for you to read right there to study delegation. If you want to learn the law, let the judges teach you. When you read the case law, the judges are essentially just giving you a class. That's why they all read in law school. They all read case law. Why wouldn't you? Why would you? So you're sitting here trying to tell me, for all you fools out there that's saying case law is not important, that's a demon. Stay away from that person. That's a fucking demon. All right? That come out of his mouth. The judges are the interpreters of the law, not you, motherfucker. Why am I listening to you? Like they just did. Like my dude with 1,900 likes. They just all listened to him. He didn't show nothing. They just loved what he said because it was demonizing the government. It was talking about getting back our land and reestablishing the republic because we free people. That motherfucking shit has been said for 30 years. Why do you cut off the ends of your bread? I don't know. That's what my mama used to do. I don't know, Yusef. Well, you told me to do it, so that's why I did it. You told me to. And it sounded good. It sounded so good. You get what you pay for. Yet the Federal Reserve Act transferred the issuance of circulating currency and credit to a system of regional reserve banks, entities structured as federally chartered corporations with private shareholders. This presents a conflict. Can Congress delegate sovereign monetary authority to a hybrid public-private institution without clear guiding limitations? That's where they fucked up. See, it's up to us to challenge the government and make a new case precedents. The reason they get away with this because nobody ever challenged them on it properly. Matter of fact, that was some of our conversation I had with ChatGPT. I said, look, these people are not, I said, give me something where I can come into the courtroom properly. He said, yes, a lot of people coming into the courtroom improper. Man, it's a clown show on the internet. It's a clown show. It's so bad, sometimes I don't want to be associated with this shit. But at the same time, I'm a leader in it, so it's my job to clean this shit up. I'm going to clean it up. I'm only talking about public and private. I'm bringing in the Amish because the Amish, I feel like they understand private rights better than anybody. That's why I bring them up. Historical context, the Jekyll Island drafting. It is a matter of public record, not conspiracy theory, that the original draft of what became the Federal Reserve Act was formulated during a private meeting of influential bankers and policymakers at Jekyll Island in 1910. If you go to the Federal Reserve website, they got the whole story. I couldn't believe it. I went over to their website, and they got the whole story of Jekyll Island on the website. 3, historical, it says the historical fact is acknowledged in such work as Secrets of the Federal Reserve, Eustace Mullins. I was about to say him, talk about him. G. Edward Griffin's The Creature from Jekyll Island, and the autobiography of Senator Nelson Aldrich's assistant, Frank Vanderlip. Now, I didn't know that. The autobiography, I did not know that. I can find some good shit in there. Let me see. Let me look at this real quick. The autobiography. I ain't know that. Is it on, I'm trying to see if it's on, oh, there you go, Amazon. There you go. The Banker Who Changed America. This is Van A. I didn't never know about this. In a secret meeting on Jekyll Island, Georgia, a small group of bankers found the Federal Reserve System just over 100 years ago. Financier Frank A. Vanderlip was the only one of the men to write a first-hand account of the week that changed America's banking system. From the day as a young farm boy watching the repossession of his family's property through his tenure as president of the country's largest bank, Frank Vanderlip gave great thought to the economy, corporate responsibility, and monetary policy. Understanding his background, his world, and his thought process at the time are still vital elements to learn the full story of the Federal Reserve and why money works the way it does today. He lectured and wrote, and this is, Paul Warburg got one too. I'm gonna get this. Let me add this to the card. I'm gonna read that. He got a first-hand account. I don't think I ever met anybody who had a first-hand account. He had a first-hand account. Contemporary Federal Reserve historical publications. The issue is not secrecy or motive. The issue is legislative origin. A statute of immense constitutional reach was drafted by private banking interests and subsequently adopted with minimal structural limitation. This history is relevant to legislative intent and delegation analysis, not as evidence of improper conduct. The Federal Reserve, because they do have the ability to delegate powers and their legislative intent. So he's right. It's not evidence of improper conduct. It says, listen, does that fit within legislative intent and delegation of powers doctrine, their ability to do that? That has never been tested in the Supreme Court. Are y'all following me? Are y'all following me? Are y'all, I mean, put a 1 in the chat if you see where this is heading. And they love, but you know what? All y'all talk about constructive trust and private trust. None of y'all know nothing about trust. I ain't seen not one of y'all who use that word on the internet that even understand the subject. And I do classes on Tuesday and Thursday, and all my students in there are just laughing at the shit that y'all say on the internet because they right there in my class and we reading the shit right from law books and then looking at the shit y'all saying, going to the IRS website, seeing all this dumb shit you saying, telling me get a trust, put my house in a trust and can't get foreclosed on. I put this in a trust and it can't get taxed. When you hear somebody say that, you know they're a regurgitator. They're a regurgitator. They didn't read a line of nothing because anybody worth their salt, their weight in trust is going to know that that's a goddamn lie. On a fundamental level, this ain't even technical what I'm talking about, like first day shit. The Federal Reserve Act functionally created a contractual debt-based monetary system. Upon enactment, the U.S. monetary system shifted from direct sovereign issuance of money to a system in which money enters circulation primarily as interest-bearing debt. Federal Reserve notes are not coined money under Article 1, Section 8. They are obligations of the United States issued through reserve banks. This creates two legal consequences. One, individuals are compelled to use debt-based legal tender. The legal tender cases, namely Juilliard versus Greenman, Volume 110, U.S. Reporter, page 421, year 1884, uphold Congress' authority to designate tender, but do not address whether Congress may permanently structure the nation's money supply as interest-bearing debt issued by a hybrid entity. Number two, individuals cannot access non-debt sovereign money. The system eliminates the option of circulating sovereign money, gold and silver coin or non-interest-bearing notes, forcing reliance on private credit mechanisms. This compulsion may implicate due process, economic coercion without citizen choice. True, that's exactly what that is, economic coercion without a citizen choice. Equal protection, privileged banking institutions over individuals, and non-delegation, handing exclusive monetary creation power to entities outside legislative control. The Federal Reserve get up there every day and you ever see that that video by Alan Greenspan where they asked him a question, what is the relationship between the president and the Federal Reserve? And he said, we don't care what the relationship is. We're an independent agency. That's just a very fancy way of saying they don't have no authority over us. How did that happen? Why has that not been tested? These are the injuries. There's a due process injury by forcing me to use Federal Reserve notes. There's an equal protection injury by forcing me to use Federal Reserve notes, mainly the privilege of the banking institutions have over individuals. We can't circulate no money in our country, but the banks can. Private banks by that. And I'm a private citizen, I can't do it. There is a article on the internet when Channel 2 News interviewed me in 2010 when I was discharging houses. I told Jody Fleischer that. I said, what is the difference between my promissory note and the Federal Reserve promissory note? You tell that to me. They didn't put that on the news, though. They said, no, we can't put this on the news. What is the difference between one? And you said, well, mine's backed by the full faith and credit of the United States. Full faith and credit of the United States is our labor. And since slavery is not permitted under the 13th Amendment, nor involuntary servitude, no forms of peonage, so when I contact you and rebut any presumption that I'm willingly accepting benefits and privileges from the government, and I tell you, no, I don't wish to do that any longer, and I'm more than competent enough to handle my own commercial affairs, you need to take note of that. If you're listening, government, because you are bankrupt. You made a program, this Chat GPT, to say you're not bankrupt, but that flies in the face of common sense, because you are in debt more than any other country or person on planet Earth. United States government, $38 trillion in debt. How the fuck is that not bankruptcy? So the injuries, due process, economic coercion without citizen choice, equal protection, privileged banking institutions over individuals, and non-delegation, handing exclusive monetary creation power to entities outside legislative control. You gave them the power to create our money and you can't even control them. How in the fuck does that make sense? And how are citizens in the United States allowing that to happen? None of y'all ever contested, but y'all want to get in the face of the federal government every day and talk about how corrupt they are, and your ass is sitting on your ass and you ain't did anything to try to straighten it out when they are your public servants and we're their constituency and they are here to do our bidding. Private commercial capacity is injured by this structure. Notice right here we say private commercial capacity. Once again, we're going to start using the word capacity in reference to the person. Capacity is the operative term. And what capacity are you operating in? Let's get rid of all that fucking sovereign citizen terminology. I'm the real living soul. I'm sorry, Yana, in what individual capacity is the court alleging that the violation of the statute occurred in? You see how you can word that ain't nobody gonna call you a sovereign citizen when you say some shit like that? I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. The first thing, when you hit them with something, let me tell you how they react when you hit them with something that they didn't expect you to know. You're going to see it react. They ain't going to say nothing, but they body language is going to tell you everything you need to know. Like when I went into the courtroom and asked the judge, I said, Yana, I said, why is it I can't get a bond? I'm not an absconding debtor. Man, when I said I'm not an absconding debtor, everybody act like somebody walked over their fucking grave. And I was just testing the shit. Where did I get it from? I got it from reading the clerk's practices to find out what a flight risk was. A flight risk in admiralty is not the same as a flight risk under the common law. A flight risk in admiralty is business related. You have a business that's never open. You have a lot of debt. You have a lot of creditors at you. You got a gambling problem. In admiralty, a flight risk is somebody who can't handle their business. So now understand when they say they got your credit report and everything up there in front of them. When you're sitting there talking about you don't have jurisdiction over me, they got your whole dossier up there in front of you. The judge is looking at it. Your children are in public school. You work downtown at ABC Corp. You got a bank account with Bank of America right here. We have your driver's license number and social security card on file right here. And I see that you just, you just applied for a PPP loan. That's what's called silent judicial notice. He just looks at all that shit and say, well, we're going to proceed to trial. We're just going to proceed to trial. All right, so we're talking about our capacity. Private commercial capacity is injured by this structure. Your theory holds that individuals are competent and capable of managing their own commercial affairs without compulsory reliance on the Federal Reserve banking cartel. That's what I was telling him. ChatGPT, that's what I told him. I said, look, man, he said my theory. I said, I'm competent of handling my own affairs. Because, see, that's what ACR 192 of June, that's what the New Deal was all about. The New Deal was all about we went to the government and we wanted help from the government, and that's why they established the welfare program, and that is the only reason the country is in a national debt, because they go to the Federal Reserve to borrow money for welfare programs. But why do I need them to do that for me? Because the only reason they do it is because you said you're incompetent. That's why you came to us. Remember the Great Depression? You said you couldn't find a job. You didn't want to go back out to the country on your farm and start growing food again and all that shit. You just wanted to stay in the city. You couldn't find a job. So this argument becomes defensible when framed as follows. A citizen has the inherent capacity to enter private contracts, issue negotiable instruments, and manage private commercial obligations. But the current system forces all contracts to be denominated in debt-based Federal Reserve credit against the explicit restriction in ACR 182 of June 5th, 1933, Public Law 73-10, where it implicates that you cannot require anyone to pay a debt in any particular specie or currency. But right here, we're being forced to enter our contracts in Federal Reserve notes. They're forcing us to do that every day. That's what you're doing when you try to discharge debt and they don't want to take it. They're forcing you to use Federal Reserve notes. That's what's happening. That is why your discharge don't work. They're trying to force you into a jurisdiction that they have regulatory authority over. You're gonna the whole public is an adversarial system. They're not gonna roll over for you. If you don't plan to get into a fight in the public, you need to sit your ass down. Don't get in the ring, sit in the audience. He said this, see, look at this right here. Here go one right here. A citizen of the several states does have the absolute right to travel. This is unquestioned. Yeah, it is. Don't mean travel don't mean car. Travel don't mean automobile, car, conveyance. Don't mean none of that shit. Travel means that you have the right to move your body. You're not forced to stay in one state. You go to Europe, you don't got a right to travel in Europe. You got borders. In America, we can go from state to state. We can egress across this entire continent unmolested. We had that right. But travel don't mean auto. That's what it don't mean car. I had to turn off this fan blowing on me. I think I'm catching a cold. Okay, so your theory holds that individuals are competent and capable of. My voice is going out, y'all. Okay, I'm going to end it right now because I don't know why my voice is just getting worse and worse and worse, and I'm coming down with something. This is getting progressively worse. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to end it right now because I didn't come down with a cough and I don't know what is going on. It's getting harder for me to talk and I got to do a class tonight and I got to save my voice. But this is what I want you to do. This document is in my Facebook group. Come join the Facebook group. You have to agree to all the rules of the group or you will not be let in. The group is slowly being changed into I'm only allowing people who are members of SPC University because too much trash is being brought off the street into the group. And I want to keep it an insular environment and a controlled environment with information that can be substantiated and verified. I'm getting rid of all the sovereign citizen bullshit. The definition of insanity is to keep doing the same thing over and over again, hoping for a different result. Why y'all keep going with that same fucking narrative that never worked? And I've been 2 hours on too. So this is what I'm doing. I could go all day. I could. Tonight at 9 o'clock, there's a trust class. Tomorrow, we are doing we're doing a status correction tomorrow. I have a manual that I'm going to give you. I have a new process. It's still similar. I'm not going to call it a new process. I have modified my process because I still got a lot of similarities. But it's been some modifications that have occurred based on newfound information that I've obtained. And the modification is strictly from the position of creating paperwork in such a way that it fits within the framework of the court and is acceptable. The goal is to still get the desired result, but I reformulated it in a way that's acceptable to the court. That bullshit that we got from the truck drivers and the farm hands and the mechanics and the roofers and all those guys, I love them to death. I love their bravery and everything like that. But I had to go ahead and accept the fact that they weren't intellectuals and they weren't research guys. They just weren't. You just want to give them respect because they were white. I don't give them respect like that just because they're white. I'm like, okay, I'm looking at what you're saying, and what they're saying is patently false. And that's what the problem is having with the courts. Y'all saying that the courts are corrupt. The courts, they'd come in looking at you like they used to everything going in a certain way, procedure. You come in with some shit they ain't used to hearing, seeing, or nothing like that. And they try like, what the fuck are you talking about? You judge, well, this court is not a real court. Yeah, nigga, you in a municipality. Every court in this city is a business court. You in a goddamn business city, nigga. What type of court you think is going to be here? What kind of court do you think is supposed to be in a municipality when the only thing that they are taking in consideration in the public is business? You're a private citizen. Why are you in this city? That's what they're saying. Why aren't you living out there on the land, growing your own food, building your own house, educating your own children? Why you need us to do it for you? Why you need us to provide you a grocery store? Why do you need us to provide your children an education? This is where you're going to see the zealot sovereign citizens. You're going to have to start. The only way you're going to be able to identify them is you got to educate yourself. See, when you have knowledge, it's easy to discern the truth from fiction. You can see people coming through the door. You can tell if they just a regurgitator, if they a plant. You know what I'm saying? They trying to like, you know, like in my group, I control everything. I don't allow any negativity. I don't allow anybody to disparage the government. Now get the fuck out. Why? This is a secure party group. We in here trying to exchange information and find remedies. You coming in here want to talk about how corrupt the government is, and I want to hear that shit. How is that beneficial or conducive to the conversation that's going on in here? Get the fuck out of here. Has anybody been able to discharge a car, kicked his ass out, off the rip? Why you kick me out, bitch? Because you came in trying to buy a car, can't spell your goddamn name. You haven't looked up the one definition of nothing, and you came in this bitch asking about buying a car. He's either a plant or a fool. Oh, you want to see what I selected? Okay, let me go back up to they said, can you go back up to the top of the document so I can see what you selected? Okay, I'll do that for you. All right. There's the name of the document right here. A constitutional challenge to the delegation of monetary authority under the Federal Reserve. This article is going to be on SPC University along with the document to download. Even if you can't get in my Facebook group, it will be available on my website at SPC University within the next 30 minutes. You can go over there and download it there too in the blog section. You really need to go through my blogs too and read all my blogs because I post a lot of stuff in my Facebook group, but also post it on my blog on my website. But I leave all the real tasty stuff for my SPC University. I got to do that. Can't give you everything. All right, so I'm sorry I didn't get the chance to go through all of this, but if y'all come to class tomorrow, and the price is January 1st, the price is going up to $99. Everybody who is locked in at $49, it will remain that for the life. I'm also putting in, I'm not doing lifetime memberships, but I am doing yearly memberships. So you don't have to, because a lot of people don't like monthly payments, and I understand that. I kind of don't like it either. You know, I have subscriptions myself, and I understand how they can be a pain in the ass and things like that. But you know, to kind of help you out, I try to make it very affordable, $49. So, you know, I try to make it very, very expensive. But at the same time, we'll have some other options down there for you. But I do try to make available. I'm gonna tell you what I do, because you know a lot of people complain. I will put out into the public enough information that will put you on the path, but I'm not gonna put you on the path just for free. But I will give you enough information that if you elect to find out yourself, you will find out yourself. You know, that's what Gene Keating used to do to us. He wouldn't tell us everything. He said, go read this. You know, when you tell somebody to go read something, that's how you separate the wheat from the chaff, because only people gonna really get anything is the people who read it. The other people don't want to read it, too lazy. They want you to tell them everything. And you're never gonna get anything, because everybody's not gonna tell you everything. It's never gonna happen. You're dreaming. Stop dreaming. Nobody's gonna tell you everything. You gotta find out on your own. And with that being said, if you want to speak to me one-on-one, all right, let me say this real quick too. Because I don't understand. Why is it that y'all talk to me and nobody goes to my website? You go right over to my website. Right over to my website. Wait a minute, hold on. If you go right over to my website, this is my website. It's the only website I got. It is the depository for all of my knowledge I have. If you want to know anything about me, talk to me anything, you have to come here first. You can't talk to me any other way. You can't contact me directly. All right. I have right here a consultation button right here. You see that right on the fucking website. Consultation. You click it. There's a damn calendar right here. Oh, and I take Cash App. You can click the button. Cash App. Take you to PayPal. Here's my PayPal. Cash App right here. Got my Cash App on there. You can just screen it. Got a Zelle on this mug. Right there, there's my Zelle, and I got a Venmo. I got a Venmo. So everything you need is right there, and you can tell me what you want, put all your name, and pick you a date right from here. I know I put $500 an hour. I have changed that to $350. Don't worry about the $500 an hour. That wasn't right. That's supposed to be $500 for an emergency consultation. It's $350 an hour. It's $500 if you want an emergency consultation. You want to skip the line. It's $500. All right? But it's right there on the website. Also, if you go on the website, we have articles. These articles, this is where it's going to be. A lot of the things that I am telling all of you, all my research, everything that I'm doing, I put it here. I put it right here. These are some very, very good articles. Man, let me tell you something, man. God blessed us with ChatGPT. I ain't gonna lie. Let me tell you something. I've been going 3 days straight researching. So I probably slept in 3 days, probably all 6-7 hours. And if you in my Facebook group, you know it's true because you see me at 3 o'clock in the morning posting. I'm charged up because I feel like I was giving answers to some things that were that had me stumped. A couple of things had me stumped. Yeah, I got terms and conditions on there. All right. Anyway. Yeah, the old lifetime membership is still honored. However, the only thing with the lifetime membership, you just got access to everything but the money-making system that's going to be available. You're going to have to get another membership if you want to do that. That's not in effect right now, so don't worry about it. But yes, your lifetime membership is honored. When you go to my website, if you got a lifetime membership and you want me to honor it, yes, I honor it. Just go to my website. I don't do lifetime memberships anymore. So you go to my website, and down here in the corner, is it on this page or the next page? Hold on. You need to take a look. I think this is it right here. Take a little time to pop up. Oh, she must be on break or something. There's a little chat box that pop up right here in the corner. Hold on, man. Hold on. Oh, it's after 5 o'clock. She might be off. I forgot. From 9 to 5, there is a chat box right here. Tomorrow, come to the website and you'll see a little chat. She get off at 5 o'clock, so chat box closed at 5. But come right here. It's a chat box that pop up. That's the customer service. Tell them what you want, and we'll get your membership established. You're probably already in the system and you just don't know it. Because I did migrate all the lifetime members over. So you are there. Also on the website, you have down here, these is where our articles are. When you go to the PDFs, you need to go ahead and get all these PDFs because I'm going to get rid of all of this. I'm not going to circulate any of these PDFs anymore. I'm taking all of them off the website. I've gone through a lot of them. I'm going through all this information, and I'm finding out what is legitimate and what is not legitimate information. That's where we're at today. We're in a day and time where we got to do a reboot. It's time to do a reboot of this movement. We have to get rid of all the trash and only take possession of things we know that will work in court, because we end up in these courts. And we are the ones that are going to have to bend, because we can't make them do what we want to do, because they're administrative courts, they're in another jurisdiction. They have enforcement, policy enforcers and all this kind of shit right here. So you're not going to make them do anything. So get that shit out, unless, all the people come together. Let me tell you something. There's never been a time in history where everybody came together to go against the government. You know that? There's never been a revolution like that. I think it's at one time in France. I take that back. I think in France. Praise and gratitude. Public and private do not mix. Property taxes, which is the redistribution of individual wealth for public service, right? No. See, that's that sovereign citizen shit. Redistribution of wealth. You got to watch that shit. That sovereign citizen shit. Oh, taxes. No, taxes is a tax on benefits and privileges. Where did you get that from? That it's a redistribution. You know where you got it from? A sovereign citizen construed it that way and made up the shit itself. You ain't gonna see no businessman say that. You ain't gonna see business people who pay a whole lot more money in taxes than you do say that. It's not a redistribution of wealth. You don't have to come into the public. That is exactly what it's not. It's not a redistribution of wealth. It is a tax on benefits and privileges for government services rendered for your convenience. Taxes are for convenience. You want to be taxed? Do it yourself. You do got a right to your land. You do got a right to own land. You do. Matter of fact, that's really the only people who have real rights are people who own land. If you don't own land, you really don't have no rights. Not like what you're thinking. The original people who voted were all landowners. They were the only ones who voted. That ought to tell you something. You didn't own any land. You couldn't even vote. I don't ever say I can't do anything myself. Can't is not even in my vocabulary. I don't even use a verbiage like that when referencing anything. I mean, that right there is a defeatist type mentality and a poverty mentality. A lot of people have poverty mentalities. They think like that. They think government can do anything he wants. There's nothing we can do. There's nothing I can do. It's just like, you got to understand who you're dealing with. I really feel as if that, this is what I think, y'all. I'm gonna get off after this. I think we've been infiltrated by socialists. Because when I see all the people crying victimhood in this movement, when this is not a victimhood movement, a sovereign can never be a victim. But I see victim-minded people come in through the door. It's like I feel like I got infiltrated. I feel like there's a lot of people from the liberal left coming in. And that's something we got to talk. Because I was under the assumption, everybody coming into this is conservative. No, I listen to how they talk. They talk like victims. And that's a conservative thing. And, it's like, I'm not that. That's godless. That means you don't have no faith in God or yourself. None. Peace to the gods. You've been listening to the hottest radio network on the planet. I'll see you tonight at 9 o'clock Central Standard Time on SBC University. Tomorrow, 9 o'clock Central Standard Time. There's going to be a status correction. It's going to be good. Make sure you have your butt in your seats. It's going to be good. Peace to the gods. I'm out.